Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. We are doing a deep dive today, really trying to look past all the quarterly noise and get a clear view of the strategic horizon. We're going to be dissecting the customer experience trends for 2026. And specifically, we're focusing on a huge shift that every professional needs to get their head around. It's this move from, basic personalization to something much deeper, true data-driven empathy. We've got a great source for this, the report, Customer Experience Trends 2026, from personalization to empathy. But our mission isn't just to read your report. It's to help turn these insights into a plan you can actually use. So let's start at the very foundation. Why are we talking about empathy and CX right now? What makes 2026 a tipping point?
Well, the short answer is economic pressure. That's what's driving everything. Consumers today, they aren't just looking for the lowest price, they're looking for real value. And that means the whole game has changed. They need to trust you, and they need to see clear, tangible benefits from every single interaction. So for you listening, the goal can't be just passive customer service anymore. You have to be building CX strategies that you can measure, that boost retention, drive revenue, and, this is critical, make your operations more efficient. It's all about the ROI.
And it sounds like the map we've been using to find these customers is basically being torn up in front of us. The source material talks about something called the discovery crisis. Can you lay that out for us? Because this sounds like a massive, immediate problem for anyone in marketing or CX.
It's a complete disruption. I mean, for years, we all just relied on search engines to give us clicks. That's ending. We have hard data now. 60% of searches in the US and the EU now end in 0 clicks.
60%.
Yeah, 0. The customer gets their answer right there on the results page or, in a generative summary.
So that completely upends the entire SEO playbook. We used to optimize for clicks. Now we have to optimize for what? Being cited.
Exactly, for citation. And you have to ask, where are those answers coming from? They're shifting, and they're shifting fast to what we call answer engines, things like Perplexity, ChatGPT Search, Bing Copilot. But it's not just that. You also have the giant marketplaces. I mean, Amazon handles nearly 40% of all e-commerce, and then social platforms where TikTok has become this major discovery engine.
Okay, so if I'm a CX leader, my job is no longer just make my website good. It's now making sure that when someone asks an AI about my brand or looks for my product on Amazon, the answer they get is right, it's helpful, and it actually leads to a sale. That feels like a whole new way of thinking about content and governance.
It absolutely is. And that leads us perfectly into the first big strategic change we need to talk about, the data strategy. We have to move from that old, shallow personalization, the hi first name email, to what the report calls hyper-personalization. And the only way you get there is with trust.
Which is the big challenge, right? Everyone is paranoid about being tracked.
Right.
So how do you build a useful profile without coming across like Big Brother?
This is where the modern approach is just so smart. Instead of, let's say, surveillance, brands are moving to a transactional data exchange. They're using things like brand-funded cashback and receipt scan programs. Think about it. These programs give the consumer something real right away. Clear savings, useful rewards. And in exchange for that value, the customer willingly provides essential first and zero-party data. This is data gathered with their full consent.
That's where I want to push back a little, though. Isn't that just a fancier way of tracking someone? How do you make sure it's genuinely based on trust?
Because the customer is in control. They choose to enter the program. They see the immediate utility. You're shifting the whole relationship from monitoring their behavior to explicitly incentivizing share information. So it's not antagonistic anymore. It's collaborative. You're basically saying, help me help you and I'll save you money.
And the numbers show that this collaborative model actually works.
It works incredibly well. It links directly to your bottom line. The report shows 49% of people make an impulse buy after they get a tailored interaction. And beyond that, 62% say they favor the recommendations, and 60% come back as repeat buyers. It just completely validates investing in that kind of high-quality, consent-driven data.
But this amazing data is also a huge liability if we don't handle security properly. The sources call this the governance imperative, and it really sounds like the absolute foundation for everything in 2026.
Security is trust. It's that simple. Over 87% of people will just walk away if they don't trust your security. So for any leader, there are 3 steps you just can't skip. First, unify your fragmented data. Data silos are a killer. Second, encrypt your sensitive records. And third, and this is the new part for 2026, you have to make sure your AI is explainable, not just to regulators, but to your customers. They have to be able to understand why they got a certain recommendation.
And that idea of explainable AI is the perfect bridge to the next topic. Let's talk about AI, because that's where every executive is looking for those big efficiency gains. But the report offers a pretty serious reality check on how it's going so far.
Yeah, it's what some are calling the Gen AI stall. We've all seen the cool proof of concepts, but actually scaling them is proving to be really hard. Something like 30% of pilots get abandoned after the first test, and maybe up to half of them never actually scale across the business.
Why is that?
It comes down to a few things. Messy data is the big one, garbage in, garbage out, weak guardrails that, lead to hallucinations. And probably the biggest one is just fuzzy goals. They're using AI because it's the new shiny object, not because it solves a specific measurable business problem.
So for everyone listening who has to justify this spending to their CFO, what's the plan? How do you avoid chasing novelty and actually deliver a hard ROI?
You have to start with a measurement-first mindset. Executives need hard numbers, not just hype. So you need to instrument every single AI use case against key KPIs. Yes, CSAT and NPS are important, but you need to focus on the operational metrics that show savings fast. Things like FCR, first contact resolution. The industry benchmark is 70%. If your AI isn't helping to solve problems on the first try, it's just adding friction. Then you've got AHT, average handle time, containment rate, and of course, revenue lift.
So if your AI project isn't making one of those numbers better, you're really just adding cost and complexity.
Exactly. You have to prove the savings or the productivity gains quickly. Otherwise, you're just wasting time and money.
And this is where the report gets really tactical, with this idea of moving away from these huge generic models towards specialized AI.
That is absolutely the future of practical AI in customer service. Instead of one giant, one-size-fits-all tool, we're seeing the rise of these purpose-built agents. So imagine a bot that is designed only to handle billing questions, or another one that only does product returns. These specialized models, they use your own clean data, they have built-in guardrails, and they deliver a faster payback because they are just right-sized for the job. It's like using a scalpel instead of a sledgehammer.
So the goal isn't to replace your agents with some general-purpose robot. It's more like we're training them to be, I don't know, super agents with a toolkit of specialized AIs.
That's the perfect way to put it. You use AI for the routine, high-volume stuff and to give the human agent instant context. But anything complex or emotional, anything that needs real judgment or empathy, that has to go to a trained human. The strategy is to train your agents to see AI as a force multiplier that makes them faster and better, not as a threat.
That makes so much sense. And it transitions us from just fixing problems to actually getting ahead of them. Because great CX isn't just reactive, it's proactive.
This is a massive competitive advantage. Nobody likes having to call customer service. The data is so clear on this. 81% of customers want you to be proactive. They want you to tell them about the shipping delay or the failed payment before they notice it themselves.
So to operationalize that, it means finding those common points of failure and just getting out in front of them. What's a good example of a trigger?
A failed payment is a classic one. Instead of just waiting for the service to get cut off, you can proactively trigger a text or an email with a one-click link to update their card. You look for these signal shipping delays, a drop in usage, that failed payment, and you use them to prevent an inbound support ticket from ever being created.
And that's a huge win for efficiency, but I bet the loyalty payoff is even bigger.
It's massive. When you solve a problem proactively, buyers are 2.4 times more likely to stay loyal. You cut down your resolution time and you avoid all those costly inbound contacts.
But even when someone does need to contact you, we have to talk about connecting the channels. We have all lived this nightmare. You start in a chat, it can't help you, so you have to call, and then you have to start all over again. Name, account number, the whole story. It's the omni-channel orchestration problem.
That repetition is the #1 killer of customer satisfaction. The data shows that about 71% of people start their journey digitally on the web or in an app. But for complex problems, phone usage jumps from 16% to almost 30%. And the second they switch channels, the whole experience just falls apart.
And the number in the report that just blew my mind is that only 7% of contact centers today have this figured out. Only 7% have seamless transitions.
It really shows the scale of the problem. And the solution isn't just to add more channels, it's to unify the data behind the channels. You have to have a single customer view across every tool web, phone, chat, social. So every agent, human or bot, sees the exact same history. The transcript, the intent, the customer's sentiment, all of that context has to move with them from one channel to the next. That is orchestration.
And that orchestration, making it feel like one long conversation, it has a real measurable impact on the business.
The hard numbers prove it. Strong omnichannel programs drive about 10% year-over-year growth, and they have much higher close rates, up to 25% higher. When you invest in removing friction, you are investing directly in revenue.
Now, before we get to our final takeaways, we can't ignore the new ways people are interacting with brands. Voice commerce, Siri, Alexa. This isn't science fiction anymore.
No, it's a full-fledged channel, and it needs a real strategy, but you have to be smart about it. You can't just try to cram your entire website into a voice assistant. You have to prioritize the high-value, low-friction use cases.
Like what? What's a perfect task for voice?
Simple reorders, status checks on a delivery, quick account updates. The whole point of voice has to be speed and completion. The interaction has to solve the problem in one simple flow. It can't just end with, now go to our website to finish. If it adds a step, it's the wrong channel for that task.
Which brings it all back to simplicity and value. So let's wrap this all up. Let's talk about winning loyalty in this value-seeking economy and how you can possibly stand out when everything is becoming so AI polished.
Loyalty today really starts with that tangible value we talked about. Cashback, receipt, scan rewards. Those immediate benefits are key in this economy. But it's not just about price. Remember, 86% of customers say they will pay more for an excellent experience. So service is the table stakes, and the rewards are what drive that deep loyalty.
And the content side. If every brand is using AI to generate perfect blog posts, how does anyone break through the noise?
Authenticity becomes your most valuable asset. I mean, when the whole internet is flooded with perfectly polished, generic AI content, a real, genuine human connection becomes incredibly rare and therefore incredibly valuable. We're seeing a huge comeback for user-generated content, real stories from employees, and guides that actually solve a problem for the user.
And to tie it back to the discovery crisis, you have to optimize that authentic content differently now.
Exactly. You're not just optimizing for Google's blue links anymore. You have to optimize it so it can be summarized accurately and clearly by those answer engines, by Perplexity, by ChatGPT. You need to be the source of truth when the AI gives its answer.
So if you're a CX leader listening to us right now, looking ahead to 2026, what's the core mission?
It's 3 words: speed, convenience, and consistency. Move fast, keep it simple, and make sure the experience is the same everywhere. Focus on that hyper-personalization built on trust. Use proactive support to stop problems before they start, and always choose specialized, measurable AI over the latest generic novelty.
And here's the final thought we want to leave you with. The reward for getting this right isn't small, it's massive. The firms that truly excel here can add an estimated $700 million to $1 billion in revenue over 3 years. For you, the ultimate takeaway is the need for continuous learning and to act with a measurement-first mindset. Prove the value of your projects, especially AI pilots, and prove it fast. And then link every single gain you make in customer satisfaction directly to durable long-term business growth. Thank you so much for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast and for taking this deep dive into the future of customer experience. If you want to explore these strategies even further, you can read the full report, Customer Experience Trends 2026. From personalization to empathy, by following the link in our show notes. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more strategic insights.